Corpsumer. Been trying to get this business right for some years, but who really cares? Incorporated my company with 100 million shares, but who really cares? I taught myself to wholesale real estate in about a year, but who really cares? My trust revocable for the benefit of a chosen few, but who really there? Who really there? You? Corpsumer Lifestyles channel. It's your man Wilk. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Today, I'm going to have a little short video about how I got my mortgage license in less than 90 days. Yeah, you heard me right. I said I got my mortgage license in less than 90 days, and I'm proud of that. So I'm going to share my experience with y'all, share the steps that I took, and, hopefully this can motivate someone to, take the same steps if they're kind of on the fence to figure out, how can I go from, being, a day-to-day, investor or entrepreneur, to actually becoming licensed and, be able to have, even more, opportunity and more, you know, situations that you can take advantage of, when the time calls for it because, you're so well-rounded. Again, this is just a short motivational video that I want to, share, or at least an experience that I want to share. My experience, it was very recent. I got my mortgage license in less than 90 days. From the time that I started my pre-licensing hours to actually, having a state, license number and a state license active with the NMLS here in Arizona. So, I'm really proud of that. I'm happy. I'm very excited. I'm very anxious. I haven't closed the deal or I haven't written the loan yet, but I'm licensed, so I'm going to. So I'm very optimistic about that. Um, and hopefully, I can write a loan sooner than later. But regardless, I'm looking more or less to be able to do it right versus do it fast. So if that makes sense to anybody, subscribe. Let me know if that made sense to you, to try to do it right versus do it fast. I heard a good contractor say to me one time, you want to, before you do anything, you want to make sure you measure twice and then you cut once. So that's kind of something that I use and I apply to my life, to where I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence and taking my time to do things right versus do things fast. So again, this video is to just let you know that things can be done, but you have to be diligent and you have to have the mindset. Mindset is very important, and whatever you do. So, as long as you believe that you can do it, then it can be done. But you have to put your best foot forward, and you actually have to put the action behind the thought and allow yourself to fail sometimes. Sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you might have to feel like you failed in order for you to succeed, on certain ventures, on certain roads that you're traveling on. And when I did the road, you feel me? That was because sometimes it gets windy, and sometimes the more windy it can get, that means that you could be discouraged at the same time. And, that happens. So again, this is for motivational purposes. This video is to show people that it's definitely possible to go from not having any experience in the mortgage field, but again, I was familiar with wholesaling, so I'm not like, reluctant to talk about real estate or to talk about, a current borrower or current homeowner situation and be comfortable in the conversation at the same time. So like, again, this video is to show people that, you can do it if you're on the fence, if you're looking to go ahead and get into either real estate, becoming an agent, or real estate by becoming a loan officer or a loan originator. When you when you're looking at the loan officer or the loan originator license, you're gonna come across, a lot of real estate agent mentions, because the two are very similar, as far as their role, but it is different, they're very close though as far as where they work, so they work very close in proximity. And what I mean by that is that basically with the loan officer, a loan officer is going to help you, or a loan originator is going to help you get qualified for a certain amount that you can borrow in order to purchase a home. Um, Now, the real estate agent is going to help you find the home that you've got qualified for to purchase. So again, depending on how you go about the situation, sometimes the real estate agent and the loan officer, it could be the same person, or it can be in-house where you have a loan officer and a real estate agent working for the same company, and they are obviously familiar with each other. So once one gets done with their job, the other can go ahead and do their job, and vice versa with those two. So it's really cool. It just depends on what part of the transaction you would like to be on, you would like to start on. So obviously you can do them both at the same time, but it'll probably be confusing, in a sense, because you have to remember a lot of information. So, I chose to go with the mortgage loan officer or mortgage loan originator because of my current situation. My current situation as a single parent, I need more flexibility and I need more time so that way I can be here for my sons if there's any emergencies or anything like that, especially with school and stuff. So, like, um, I figured that being a real estate agent, it would kind of be a little selfish of me because I know that my time is more or less dedicated to my kids versus anything and over anything. And that's respectfully said. But, again, I understand that. And if I can just be upfront and straightforward about my current situation, it helps me move forward and make a decision when I have an ultimatum to make. So it's like, at the end of the day, I had to make a choice, and the first choice that I went with was becoming a mortgage loan originator, and I think it was the best choice that I made. Um, I think that you know, moving forward, I'm actually that's not even think a thought. I am in the process of becoming a licensed real estate agent, so that way, I can capitalize on both opportunities for the agent and for the originator. Um, the loan originator actually is going to get paid off of the loan amount. So a percentage of the loan amount is what the loan originator gets paid. And the real estate agent gets paid a percentage of the purchase price or the price of the home. So, at first I didn't even know that, there was those two things were going on because I never, to be honest with you, I haven't gotten a chance to be a home buyer yet. Fortunately, I do have a place of my own, but I don't have a actual mortgage. So I'm still renting. Just gonna be straightforward. So like, but my goal is to be able to, see, what type of opportunities I would have, moving forward. So again, just like everyone else, I feel like a lot of people like myself, are in the same boat. But I chose to be a mortgage loan originator because, given the fact that I do need to, get a home for myself and for my children, um, I think it's very important to actually have the knowledge to know how these things work, so that way, it can benefit me in the most you know uh, best way possible. So like, um, I think that the the mortgage loan origination side of it, um, I think that again, the flexibility that comes with it was a key factor in me making the decision to becoming a mortgage loan originator. But also, one thing I came across, and while doing my due diligence, is that obviously here in Phoenix, there's a lot going on. But one thing that did happen, was the Suns, they got new ownership, and the ownership of the Suns, he's actually, um, part owner or owner of United Wholesale Mortgages. And I thought that was very interesting because, these guys own teams. These guys own, um, like leagues. These guys own big sports venues. These guys, they do things on a different level, and it's a different level of wealth. It's a different level of success. If you ask me, but obviously probably a different level of stress. But at the same time, it's a different level. And I think it's amazing to kind of be in the same profession as a person who owns a whole basketball team or a person who owns a whole football team, and there are multiple owners who are involved in mortgage servicing, and mortgage loan originating, things like that. So I think it's very interesting, and I think that once I seen that, it was no turning back. I didn't feel any regret, and I don't feel any regret as to why I didn't choose to be a real estate agent before I, chose to be a loan originator. Um, but yeah, so what you got to do is you have to go to your state real estate your state real estate's website, or real estate and business website, um, and basically, see exactly what the website is offering, and kind of do your due diligence there as well. Figure out, the direction that you're trying to go in, and if mortgage loan is that something that you would like to go in, then I think that going on that website, clicking around, and then actually following up and figuring out when you can actually sign up for pre-licensing, when you can actually sign up, and dedicate yourself to the hours, so that way you can move forward and schedule your test, because a lot of people focus on um, the hours, and the hours are very important, but the test is even more important. um, the test, I think that a lot of people don't um, prepare properly, I would say. And subscribe, subscribe from me really quick, man, if you haven't already. I'm gonna take a few seconds. I'm gonna let y'all subscribe, man. Um, But again, like, I don't think a lot of people prepare properly for this test. Um, Affinity Mortgage Group, um, that was a very good YouTube channel that I was watching. There was a few others that I watched, but I know a lot of the information. Some of it it could be a little outdated. Things have changed. Some things have updated, so you might want to be careful about looking on YouTube for a lot of your info. But again, it was helpful because I was familiar with some of the information and some of the topics. But utilizing YouTube before I signed up for my pre-licensing class, it was helpful because I didn't feel lost. I didn't feel like I was behind, or I was missing out or missing something, and someone in the rest of the class was like so far ahead of me. Um, Given and you got to keep in mind that some of these people are coming from institutions where they already do loans, but they just have to be licensed, and they aren't. So they already might be familiar with the whole process, but it's just the test that they have to take. So again, um, I think that if you just have, a good idea of what you should do to pass this test, um, I think that, you'll be one step ahead of, the pack, if you say, So what I mean by that is utilize Google, utilize YouTube. Reason why I say YouTube and Google is because when you have a question, you can actually ask, or type into Google, search it, and then you'll have a bunch of different, answers to come up, or sources that you can find the answer for the question that you just asked, which is very cool. So at the same time, you can ask the same question into YouTube and see, what kind of visuals pop up. So not only are you going to be able to read and see, and compare, your answers that you get, but you'll also be able to utilize a visual through YouTube. I know a lot of times they record some of those classes, those pre-licensing classes, and you might get lucky and stumble upon a pre-licensing class that has some pretty legit information that's still up to date. Even keep in mind you still want to do your due diligence, but the information is really good for the most part, and you know you want to write it down. You want to verify it. You want to try to see if you can find any other sources that confirm the information. So that way you can source it as true. But basically you definitely want to compare and contrast the info. One thing for me was mindset. Again, I told myself, I said, all right, well, if I'm gonna take this test, I have to be able to pass it. I'm not going to waste my time, and I'm not going to let this be the stumbling block that's holding me back, and discouraging me from doing what it is that I'm called to do. I'm not going to allow that. So what do I need to do? So one of the questions that came to my mind was, so what kind of test is it? Like, because there's a lot of information. The book that they give you is almost 300 something pages. Keep in mind that you can get the PDF version of the book, but regardless, it's still 300 something pages. It might be more, but yeah, it's the safe test, and basically that's the test that you want to be able to prepare yourself for, the safe MLO test, with the national component with the uniform state content. That's what the test is called. Safe MLO test, the national component with the uniform state content. So I asked the question. The question I asked was, what kind of test was it? The answer that I received was, it's multiple choice. What? Multiple choice? Perfect. So that boosted my confidence up, because I knew that at that point, at least the answer will be in front of me. I just got to know what the answer looks like. I don't have to guess, more or less. Like, it's not a blank. I don't have to like remember paragraphs and sentences and references. I don't have to remember that stuff. I just need to kind of know, you know, the the main point of the question, and figure out which one of these four answers is the closest to the main point of this question. So again, I felt like at that point it's a 50-50 chance, with every question. So I think that was pretty cool to know that it was a multiple choice test, and to know that the choice has been multiple choice, and I don't think it's going to be changing anytime soon. So anyone preparing for the test can be preparing for a multiple choice test. And now, like I said, mindset. So prepare yourself to remember this stuff like you remember a song, your favorite song, a song you don't even like. That song that you know the words to, but you never actually focused on learning the words to the song. It's just that you hear it all the time. So instead of writing down all of this stuff, because you can't take notes with you into taking the test. So I said to myself, why am I going to write all of this stuff down if I can't even take the notes with me? I think I'm just going to have a broken hand by the end of these 20 hours. And hopefully I'll be able to remember at least, you know, a few bits of information. But again, if my mindset was to remember this information like I remember my favorite song. So I was like, all right. So that means that I have to listen to this information. I have to find a source that I can, you know, sit down and just listen to it and remember it and get familiar with it. So that's what I use YouTube for. I was focused on, what they were saying, but I wasn't focused on what they was writing down and stuff. I just needed to hear the information. And that was helpful because when I watched other videos on YouTube, the information was familiar because I was listening and I heard it from the other channel. So Affinity Mortgage Group, that was like the main channel that I used, and I think that that channel was very helpful with my studies. Also, with the pre-licensing, I actually paid for CompuCram. Now, what CompuCram is additional testing material and accessibility to like flashcards, accessibility to multiple choice prep test questions. So like you'll be able to kind of get a feel for what the test will be like, and you get to look at the answers and see what you got wrong and see what you got right, and basically just give yourself an additional tool to utilize to pass this test. The test, you got to get a 75% to pass the test. That may seem like it's a low score, but it's 120 questions and you got 3 hours to pass the test. Excuse me. So with that being said, you want to make sure that you're taking your time, but you're not taking too much time. You want to make sure that you're reading the questions. You want to make sure that you're going with the first answer that comes to your mind. With the mortgage loan, origination stuff, it could be very, very redundant at some points, but also you have different topics that you need to remember. You have different content areas that you need to be familiar with. The first content area that you got to be familiar with, subscribe. Before we get into the content area, let's get our subscribers up. Let's get a thumbs up in the subscriber or in the comment section. Sorry about that. Let's get a thumbs up in the comment section. If you're actively searching for a mortgage right now, or if you're actively searching for your mortgage license right now. Yeah. So the first content area that you want to be familiar with is going to be the federal mortgage related laws. So you want to be familiar with your federal mortgage related laws, and I'm not going to get into that stuff right now, but these are just the areas that you want to, be familiar with. The second area is going to be your uniform state content. Your uniform state content, that's going to basically let you know what you can do from state to state, what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, things of that nature. Your general mortgage knowledge. Your general mortgage knowledge, that's, what you can and can't do with the mortgages, how the mortgage industry came about, um, things of that nature. There's different topics, but again, there's specific bullet points in each of these content areas that you'll be more familiar with once you sign up for your pre-licensing and you get yourself involved in the textbook as well. So you also have your mortgage loan origination activities, and then you also have ethics. So these are the things that you want to be familiar with. And again, the content areas. You got federal mortgage related laws, you got uniform state content, you got general mortgage knowledge, you got mortgage loan origination activities, and you got ethics. So these 5 things are your bread and butter when it comes to passing this test. So you want to be familiar with this stuff like you're familiar with your favorite song. And again, if you want to pass this test, if you ask me, I think that to be able to hear the information, to be able to listen to the information almost like like you know, like when you were a kid when you used to get the book with the tape in it, you know, kind of like that, you know. So you want to use YouTube for that because you can do your dishes, you can do your, you know, clean your house, turn, you know, put your headphones on and listen to that stuff while you're doing it. You know, write some things down if some things pop out and stand out to you. But the more repetitive, you know, ness that you use when you and you listen to this stuff, I think that you'll come out, you know, a lot more successful versus trying to write all of this stuff down, trying to get flashcards and trying to do all of that. I don't think that um is how you pass this test. I think you pass this test by using your memory and not focusing so much on writing things down. So again, you have to be confident. You have to believe that this is something that you can do, and you have to know that you might have to fail the first time. Yeah, I said it. You might have to fail the first time. You know why I said it? Because it hit different when you fail the first time. Um, yeah, it hit different when you fail the first time. But it also hit different when you pass the second time. Um, y'all might have got that, y'all might have not. But regardless, um, got the pass and you got the fail. Um, I did it. I'm proud of it. And I want you to know that it's not going to be perfect all the time. You're not going to be able to, you know, write a beautiful story ending all the time. So just, you know, be humble enough to know that if it takes you to get slapped in the face once by this test, then that's what it's going to take. But the next time, you're not going to walk out feeling the same way you felt when you walked out that first time. You're going to walk out with your head held high. You might walk out with tears of joy like I did because I told myself before I started that second test, I told myself, I said, I know how I felt when I walked out that first time and I failed the test. I know how that feels already. So I'm fulfilled with that feeling already. And I don't need it anymore. I don't need to feel that feeling. I don't want to feel that feeling anymore. What I haven't felt yet was how does it feel to walk out of here knowing that I'm going to be a mortgage loan originator because I passed the test. So that's what I focused on. Mindset. Mindset is everything when it comes to this. So you know, in order to get through this test, in order to get through the safe MLO test with the national component, with the uniform state content, I just want to make sure I got that right. But in order to get through that test, you got to have the mindset. Um, again, so take some time, do it right, and ask questions. Don't try to do it fast. I had to basically, like I said, and initially when I said I got my mortgage loan origination license within 90 days, it's all facts. Um, I did my pre-licensing in October of 2022 and my pre-licensing course was 2.5 days. So basically 8 hours per day, and then 4 hours on that half day. And got through that. I received my certificate for passing the hours and completing the hours. And then I was able to schedule my test. Um, it was kind of scary. I was a little bit nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why. I was just scheduling the test, but I was nervous as hell. You know, just to be honest with you. So it might be something that you feel, you know, as well, or something that you may feel. So don't think that is like weird or something. I just think it's normal, to be honest, or it could be weird. I could be weird. But yeah. Yeah. But uh, at the end of the day, you know, that's all I did. You know, I just wanted to make sure that I knew this information like I knew my favorite song. So, let's see here. You know, anything else that comes along, um, you want to be able to still approach it the same way. You want to be able to ask questions. You want to be able to do things right and not do things fast. Um, I think it's very important. I think that passing this test is something that um, more than 54% of people um, fail. But I think that we could turn that around and make it so 54% of people pass the test. Um, if we change the mindset. If you change your mindset going into this test, if you change your mindset going into the 20 hour pre-licensing, don't expect for don't expect for the pre-licensing class to teach you everything you need to know. The pre-licensing class is going to be about 30% of what you need to know. The other 70% is going to be on you. The other 70% is going to come from that drive that you have, like from that same day when you called the first day to figure out, you know, which program that it is that you wanted to do, to that same energy, that same drive that you had when you spoke to the representative, when you gave them your card information so you could sign up for the pre-licensing class. You want to keep that same fire. You want to keep that same, energy going, because if you lose that, it could be very discouraging in a field like this because it's not familiar to everyone. And, everyone's not going to give you good information or good advice, when you get down in the dumps in a field like this because, they figured, hey, you can just go do something else. And, I don't really think that that is cool. But at the end of the day, I still think that it's realistic. So again, what I wanted to do is just share this video with y'all. Let y'all know that it's definitely possible to get your mortgage license in less than 90 days. Um, again, so it took me from January. It took me from October to um, December. December 27th is when I failed my first test. Not gonna lie. And then I had to wait 30 days. So I scheduled my next test on, what was that? January the 30th. So on January the 30th, that's when I passed my test. That's when I, you know, had to change my mindset. And it worked. Um, I'm proud of it again. Uh, and it took me from January. It took NMLS, to be honest. It took them a little while to get me all squared away, and part of it was me because I really wasn't familiar with the process, so I was kind of dragging my feet as well. But I was just more or less happy that I passed the test, and I was just kind of coming down from that. I'm like, all right, So ended up reaching out to MLS to see what was the holdup, and they just needed for me to kind of finalize and turn in a few documents. Once I did what they were asking me to do, I ended up finalizing my license on March 16th of 2023 of this year. So again, from October to January, it took me to, do my pre-licensing, fail one test, and then pass the test. And then from January to uh, March, took me for basically just to get my license finalized, for me to get my background check, my fingerprints, um, everything that they were asking me to do, credit check, everything that they wanted me to do just to get that stuff taken care of. So once that was taken care of, the ball got rolling really quickly, and I ended up becoming licensed, and I'm looking now to start getting my real estate license as well, so that way I can utilize both percentages, um, and be able to help a borrower, find a house as well as qualify them for the house that they want to find. So um, that's technically what it is that I'll be doing and what it is that I do. Um, and if you have any questions, or if you have any suggestions on other videos that maybe you want to hear me talk about, or maybe you want to ask me about if I'm familiar with another topic, that you want to hear me talk about, definitely don't hesitate to put it down in the comments. Subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel, um, show some love. Again, thank you for tuning in to the Consumer Lifestyles channel. I just wanted to give some quick motivation on how I got my mortgage license in less than 90 days, 3 months, 90 days. Again, took the pre-licensing class, scheduled my first test, failed my first test, changed my mindset, got through the second test, walked out, passed candidate for the mortgage loan origination license. So I think it's a blessing, and I appreciate, again, some comments. I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate if you subscribe to this channel, man. Subscribe right now, man. Subscribe, man. But again, thank you for tuning in to the Wilk Vision Consumer Inc. Lifestyles channel, and we hope to see y'all next time around. And peace.
I'm trying to get this business right for some years, but who really cares? Incorporated my company with 100 million shares, but who really cares? I taught myself to wholesale real estate in about a year, but who really cares? My trust revocable for the benefit of a chosen few, but who really there? Who really there? You?